3 rules to burn fat fast with calisthenics. That's what I'm going to be sharing with you in this video. And with summer approaching in just a few more months, now is the right time to get started. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Minus the Gym. And for those of you new to the channel, I'm Ryan, and my channel is all about how to get fit and healthy at home without relying on a gym. So if that sounds cool to you, hit that subscribe button down below and make sure you tap that bell icon because that's going to notify you every time I upload new content. All right, first rule about fat loss is you don't talk about fat loss. Sorry, I couldn't resist saying that. Really, the first rule about fat loss is you eat in a caloric deficit, all right? That's really important, and it's something that I'm shocked I've heard people say you don't even have to eat in a deficit to lose fat. Some of these influencers saying that are already very lean, and I think they're not measuring their calories. The truth is, if you want to lose body fat, you need to be eating less calories than you burn. So what I recommend doing is you calculate your maintenance calories and you figure out what that is, right? And then what you're gonna do is you're going to drop from eating maintenance calories, or even a surplus, down to about a 500 calorie deficit. That is what I recommend eating. And the reason why is because 500 calorie deficit is not too much where you're going to feel deprived, all right? Because you don't want to get into that state of deprivation and being unhappy with how you're eating. And also it leaves you enough calories to play with, make sure you're getting enough protein, which is important. We'll talk about that later. When you're eating 500 calorie per day deficit times 7 days per week, what you end up with is 3,500 calories per week. And guess what? 3,500 calories is 1 pound. So you're looking at, just from that 500 calorie per day deficit, you're looking at 1 pound of fat loss per week. But we're going to add to that. Remember, I said this would be fast fat loss. So we're also going to move on to rule number 2, which is increase your energy output. What I mean by this is take a look at your current workout. How many days a week are you doing? Like, what is your frequency? How many sets and reps? And what you can do, one method is you can simply just add another set to each exercise. So you're doing more work in the same amount of time. This might mean decreasing your rest time a little bit, but that's fine. But another method that I personally like using, and I highly recommend you try this if you're not a beginner, is using something called EPOC. All right, EPOC is an acronym that stands for excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. And it's a state that our body goes into after very intense cardiovascular exercise. When you're in this state of EPOC, also known as the afterburn effect, you are taking in more oxygen to make up for an oxygen deficit, and that's automatically going to elevate your BMR. So remember in rule 1, eating in the caloric deficit, we talked about starting at maintenance calories, right? And creating that 500 calorie deficit. But now, by doing just twice a week, doing an intense, high intensity cardio workout, you're gonna elevate that BMR with EPOC. So now you're creating an even larger deficit. What I like about this method is that you're still eating quite a lot of calories, just 500 under maintenance. So you have plenty of calories there. You know, you're not gonna feel deprived, you're still eating enough, and you're creating a larger deficit with just twice a week doing intense workouts. Now, what kind of workouts am I talking about? To create a state of EPOC, you need something that's super maximal. All right, and I recommend SMIT, which is super maximal interval training. The perfect example of this is sprinting. So if you have enough space in your yard, like I do, I have a pretty big backyard. I'm on an acre here. I can go out in the backyard and I can do a 40-yard dash and I can do sprints back and forth. It's great. But if you don't have that kind of room to do sprints, you can do sprints with calisthenics cardio exercises. Some examples of these exercises I'm talking about, actually my favorite is burpees. All right, if you do burpees, just do the most intense variation of burpees you can do, like the tuck jump burpee with a clapping push-up, for example. That's a really intense variation. And if I do 10 of those, I am almost at my max out of breath because they are just so intense. So what I would do is I do 10 of those really intense burpees, you know, one set, and then I would rest for maybe 30, 60 seconds, and then do another set. And I'll do that 10 burpees at a time. When you're first starting out, maybe aim for 40 or 50 total, but then work your way up to 100. So you have this like short 15-minute window where you're busting out 100 intense burpees, and it's just putting you way, way beyond your max. But that's exactly what's going to put you in a state of EPOC. I mean, you can do more if you want. The more you do, then the more you're gonna elevate that BMR. So since this is so intense, all right, you're going beyond your VO2 max, that's what super maximal training is. You wanna keep this to only twice a week and you wanna space it out. The reason why is after you finish one of these workouts and you're in the state of EPOC, your BMR is gonna be elevated for upwards of 72 hours, all right, 48 to 72 hours. So if you do this too often, if you do it like every day or every other day even, it's gonna be too much. You're gonna start getting ravenous with hunger and you're just gonna be in too large of a deficit. But I found that twice a week is just the right amount where you're getting that little edge, raising that BMR some more throughout the week so that you're creating a slightly larger deficit. You're looking at 1 to 2 pounds of fat loss per week. And it only takes about an extra 15 minutes twice a week to do this workout, you know, the cardio workout, and you're eating in that 500 calorie per day deficit. All right, and rule number 3 is protein. Make sure you eat enough protein. That's super important. And I've made this mistake countless times because I don't like to eat a high protein diet. I really don't. But I've done this so many times where I don't eat enough protein and I'm doing a lot of cardio, I'm doing the EPOC and I'm eating in a caloric deficit, and you just kind of wind up skinny fat, right? You'll lose weight, but you're gonna lose muscle mass with it. So if you wanna maintain those gains and get, be as muscular as you can be in a lean state, you're gonna wanna make sure your protein is high enough. And what I recommend is making sure you're in the 20 to 30% range, meaning 20 to 30% of total calories are coming from protein. The closer you can get to that upper range of 30%, the better. So I personally, when I eat 30% protein, which is extremely high protein, especially for me, someone who doesn't want to eat that high protein, I've noticed it's actually quite easy to lean out. So what this means for meat eaters, for people who eat animal products, this shouldn't be too difficult for you because animal products are extremely high in protein. But for plant-based eaters like me, it means I have to be pretty careful. I focus on tempeh and other, like the soy-based high protein sources, protein powders too, seitan, things like that have to be in my diet daily or else I'm just not gonna get anywhere near that 30% protein. So I'm shooting this video on March 21st, which is the first day of spring usually. I think this year it was March 20th because it's a leap year, but my point is it's now spring. So that means only just 2 or 3 more months till the weather is really hot. People will be at the beaches, hopefully, given what's going on in the world. I don't know if we'll be allowed to go to beaches, but we'll see. But now is the time. If you want to start preparing for that summer body, now is the time to start incorporating the cardio, maybe doing those EPOC workouts I talked about, all right, those high intensity workouts, eating in that caloric deficit if you have body fat that you want to lose. So follow these 3 rules. I promise they work. They really do. They've worked well for me over the years. I've used them countless times and they're simple, right? Eat in a caloric deficit, add more energy output, and make sure you get enough protein. That's really all you got to do. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new and drop a like if this helped you out, all right? Because that really helps me out in return. And I will see you in the next video. Talk to you later.